Okay, chat. I wanted to talk about this situation, but I'm a little bit late to covering this particular situation because I wanted to wait until more information came out before I kind of jumped on this one, made a bunch of assumptions and stuff like that. I actually wanted to take the time to see what information comes out before I jump on it. I wanted to talk about the situation involving, a street performer, Jordan Neely, who unfortunately lost his life in a New York subway, right? We've heard about this situation. This was big news. What was it, like 2 weeks ago or something like that? And this is one of those things that's like, this case is going to be a very, very polarizing case. Like, I would not be surprised if this particular case got on the level of Kyle Rittenhouse levels of like polarizing. Okay, I would not be surprised if it got to that degree. But basically, if you're not familiar with the situation, I'll read a little bit of this article from The Guardian to kind of bring you guys up to speed. As you guys can see, the headline says, New York subway rider killed performer via chokehold, authorities say. Video shows Jordan Neely kicking as he was held for nearly 3 minutes in death ruled a homicide. Now, for obvious reasons, I will not be playing the video. If you really want to see it, there's plenty of places out there you can see the video. I will not be playing the video here. But I'll just read this highlighted section of this article so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with here in case you're not already familiar with it. A 30-year-old black man who regularly danced in Times Square's transit hub was killed on Monday by a rider who put him in a chokehold in the New York City subway. The confrontation took place on an F train traveling north, reached the Broadway Lafayette station, I'm probably mispronouncing that, in Soho. Witnesses say Jordan McNeely, recognizable to some New Yorkers as the Michael Jackson impersonator, and I have seen video of this guy doing Michael Jackson impersonations, and he was really, really talented. It's really unfortunate that he's gone now. They were exhibiting erratic behavior at the time. Video footage captured by Juan Alberto Vasquez, a freelance journalist and shared on Facebook, showed Neely kicking as he was held down by passengers. The man who peeled down Neely has not been identified. They have since been identified, but this is the original article that came out. It's not been identified, but has been described in local reports as a 24-year-old former U.S. Marine. The man held Neely in a chokehold with his legs wrapped around his body. Neely lost consciousness during the struggle and later died in the hospital, which is really, really unfortunate. Neely died from compression of the neck, the city's medical examiner determined on Wednesday, classifying his death as a homicide. The office noted that any determination about criminal culpability would be left to the legal system. And so that's why we're talking about this today. We have an update on that. But essentially what we have here is a situation where a man is acting very erratically. They're in the midst of a mental health crisis, okay? They're having a bit of a breakdown, okay? And I can understand like people being startled by that. I can understand even people feeling threatened by that. I can even understand people taking defensive measures because of his erratic behavior. But in no way, shape, or form should this man have lost his fucking life because of them having a mental breakdown on a subway. Like, I'm sorry. It should not have happened this way. If you feel threatened by him and you want to defend yourself because you feel threatened, fair enough. But under no circumstances whatsoever should this man have lost his life. That's just my take on it. But anyway, over to the update, which actually happened several days ago. I'm a little bit late to this, but I wanted to take some time to actually look into it before I talked about it. Man surrenders to New York authorities for subway chokehold death of Jordan McNeely. Daniel Penny, that is the man who did, took this man's life, unfortunately. 24, faces second-degree manslaughter charges that could carry up to 15 years in jail, according to the Manhattan DA's office. So this guy has been charged with a crime. He's been charged with second-degree manslaughter for taking the life of this person who was just having a mental health crisis, having a bad day, something that a lot of people experience pretty regularly, unfortunately. A man who kept a chokehold around the neck of an agitated fellow passenger on a New York City subway, leading to the other rider's death, turns himself into authorities on Friday morning on a manslaughter charge that could send him to prison for 15 years. Daniel Penny, 24, surrenders to the authorities to be arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter. He was later seen being led from a New York Police Department precinct in Lower Manhattan with his hands cuffed behind his back, wearing a suit on his way to court. We can't provide additional information until he has been arraigned in Manhattan Criminal Court, which we expect to take place tomorrow, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office said in a statement on Thursday. Jordan Neely, their killing nearly 2 weeks ago has triggered a widespread anger across New York and the U.S. The death of Neely, an unhoused Michael Jackson impersonator who was black, has become a symbol of inequality in the U.S., as well as a concern over racism and paranoia over crime and vigilantism. Penny is white. So one thing I'll say is that a lot of people were pointing out that, like, this guy has been arrested before. He's been arrested for similar erratic behavior on the subway, and I don't see how that matters, all right? I don't see how that matters. Just because somebody has a bit of a criminal history, some of which is related to similar erratic behavior, that doesn't mean they deserve to die. I think it's really insane to me that people would justify the death of someone because they had a previous criminal history. It doesn't make any sense. Under no circumstances whatsoever should someone lose their life because they're having a mental health crisis. So the incident played out after Neely entered a train carriage yelling that he was tired and hungry and he was ready to die. A 4-minute video captured by freelance journalists showed other riders pinning Neely down against the floor and Penny putting him in a chokehold that he maintained for long after Neely had stopped moving, and at least one passenger urged him to let go. Police found Neely unconscious, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. Investigators determined he died from having his neck compressed, and his death was ruled a homicide by the city medical examiner. Officers detained Penny and questioned him, but released him without booking with a crime. Demonstrators have held regular protests in New York calling Neely's death vigilantism by a white man against a black subway passenger who was experiencing homelessness as well as having long-standing mental health struggles after his mother's murder when he was a teenager. Neely was well known to homelessness advocates in the city and had been arrested multiple times. So again, he did have a criminal history, but again, so many people on social media were trying to use this as an excuse to justify his passing. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't justify it for me. Neely's family have condemned Penny for offering neither an apology nor an expression of regret. In a statement about the incident that was he released through his lawyers, and which highlighted Neely's mental health struggles, Penny's lawyers previously said their client, along with 2 other riders who helped restrain Neely, had acted in self-defense. The Neely family called the statement a character assassination and a clear example of why he believed he was entitled to take Jordan's life. The truth is, he knew nothing about Jordan's history when he intentionally wrapped his arms around Jordan's neck and squeezed and kept on squeezing, they added. So that's pretty much it for now. So this guy's being charged with a crime. And like I said, obviously, this is going to be one of those huge, high-profile cases that people are going to be talking about, like, for months. All right. People are going to be keeping tabs on this. And I would not be surprised if this got to Kyle Rittenhouse levels of, polarizing. So this is an unfortunate situation. Someone lost their life because they were having a mental health crisis in a public space. Again, I can totally understand people looking at their erratic behavior and being a little bit concerned, being a little bit defensive, and even using defensive measures to protect themselves if they felt like they were in danger. But under no circumstances whatsoever should this man have lost his life in this situation. It's completely inexcusable.